like he's so lit. Rock it like he's so
Morning, everyone. Hey, how you doing? Let's pop over there and let's get the capture card up. Oof. I am a little bit hungover, and I had the most lovely, oh my god, London is the best place in the world moment last night. I really love London. I really, really do love London. Okay, let's get that up there, and let's grab the. Do you know, I've just started. So OBS has got a big upgrade where it helps manage a lot of the YouTube stuff now, which is fantastic. But one of the things I've just realized as I go live now is that one of the things that's missing is the ability to get the stream URL really quickly. It's probably there somewhere. I will find it. I will find it. But in the meantime, it's not actually currently available. Come join my hungover stitch and coffee. There we go. Right. How's everyone? Getting ready for Ludum Dare. I'm really excited to be streaming Ludum Dare this weekend. That's gonna be a blast. That's actually something I'm really jazzed about. I was planning to maybe do some Ludum Dare prep on stream this morning, but honestly, this hangover, to be honest, I haven't actually got that bad a hangover, which is nice. But I need to tell you all what happened last night, because last night was just one of those magical nights where you're like, yes, that's perfect. So, as some of you may know, I'm at, do we need to go shade darker? We do need to go shade darker than that, don't we? Yes, we need darker shade than that. Oh dear, darker shade than that. Okay, so we'll go hunt for a darker shade than that, and I will tell you about my night last night. So anyway, as I have mentioned before, on Wednesdays I have a class, an improv class. I signed up for it because a few months ago I was on my way to a skate lesson on a Saturday morning. I love my Saturday morning skate lessons. And I was thinking to myself, I tend not to skate as much during the winter. So let me come up with something. And even when I do skate in the winter, it's just less social because everyone's, a lot of people are skipping out on the skate scene in the winter. Understandably, it's cold. The roads can have ice on. You know, for a lot of people, it's just not their vibe in the winter, right? So anyway, I knew that the winter would not have a ton of socialization, so I was like, okay, what can I do? Might be a smidge too dark. And in my email, just randomly, there was an email from Hoopla, because I'd gone to see some improv. And so I was like, I'll sign up. And then I went to sign up on the website, and they were all more pure blues. Yeah, I need something. Honestly, so far, I know it's really dark, but so far, this is the closest to what I'm looking for, I think. because it's meant to be like the reflected tree line on the water. Those are all just a bit too light in colour. Some of them are about the right hue, but just a bit too light in... Sorry, the wrong hue. But, light saturation, yeah, too much blues. We need something closer towards the green end of the spectrum. You know, at some point I'm going to go like full OCD and just organize all of this floss. I know it's going to happen. It's one of those things that's just going to happen. I try not to joke about going OCD because I've got a few friends who have OCD and it's not fun. It's not fun. And then what people mean is they mean, oh, I like organizing things. They don't mean, oh, I've got a debilitating mental illness that is giving me anxiety because I didn't tap everything like 10 times. So there's some nice greens here, but I'm not seeing... Honestly, this seems to be our winner. So let's just go with our first instinct and we'll pursue that. I think because we're doing this as a single thread rather than the normal double, it'll be a lighter color anyway, and so maybe we'll pull that off. Hey, maybe we'll pull that off. So anyway, I'm in the class. It's a really lovely class. And after class, we often grab a drink, because that's what we do. Not everyone, but, you know, we usually grab a drink. And so I'm like, okay, fine. Let's grab a drink and have a natter, and then we'll head off. So grab a drink and have a natter, and then me and Sophie head off to the train station to get our train back home. And while we're doing that, I ran into... literally, we're about to get on to the train, and we're in Shoreditch, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of my skate friends, out of the blue, are like, Clan! I'm like, what? And it turned out that it was someone's birthday, and they had been out all day doing activities. And there were some people I hadn't seen in a while. You know, it was, you know, someone had gone on holiday, other people had been working, a lot of them had been skating during the week rather than on the weekend. So I hadn't seen some of the people for a while, and just had one of those, yeah, how's everyone moments, and then just randomly said bye to Sophie as she went home, and then like I just joined them for some drinks in Shoreditch. It was just one of those moments of like, damn, I love London. I just love just running into people randomly, even though it's such a huge city. You run into people randomly. I mean, not so much the last year or so, but before that, yeah, it was definitely a thing. And then with them till we were drinking till they turned the lights on us, which was 11 o'clock, which was, I thought, ridiculously early. But I thought, I suppose, oh no, I have pulled the wrong end of this, haven't I? Pulled the wrong end of this. Oh, we will work it. It's not a problem. It can be worked. But it is the box park, and the box park's, you know, technically an outdoor venue. So I suppose, you know, people want to end their night on the box park sooner. So anyway, we ended that up, said goodbye to everyone. I was like, okay, ciao. And then on the tube back, I ran into someone I hadn't seen for a while as well. At this point, I'm several drinks in, so I'm very sociable. And caught up with someone on the tube as well. I was just like, London. And it wasn't even the tube I was meant to get on. I got on the wrong tube. Because anyone who knows the Overground line knows that there's a whole bunch of variations. It's not as bad as the Northern line. The Northern line is very, very useful and I really like it because not many train lines run north to south. But ye gods, is it a confusing mess. It's actually funny. Every tube line in London that runs north to south, with the exception of the Bakerloo line, the Bakerloo line is just pure. With the exception of the Bakerloo line, they're all just a mess. Because most of the tube lines run east to west, or predominantly east to west. Like even the Victoria line, which does quite a bit of north to south to north to south travel, because it starts in Brixton and ends somewhere in North London. But it does, it's a solid diagonal. It's a solid diagonal. But yeah, so that was just one of those fun London moments that I haven't had in 2 years because fuck COVID, and I was just so happy, and I was just like, yeah. And I got to do improv, and then I got to see people and hang out and meet new people, because obviously there was a bunch of new people mixed in that crowd. And yeah. Sometimes people say to you, do you want to leave London and stuff? And you're like, well, you could reduce your living costs and, maybe have just more space or whatever. And you're just like, you know what? Well, this lovely flat that is now actually got quite a bit of space, so I don't feel cramped at all. And I just have this wonderful life in London. And, I'll be the first to admit it's definitely more expensive to live in London. And I love Peckham, but I will also admit it is a bit further out than we initially planned. I didn't think there would be a huge difference between where we were, which was closer to Elephant Castle, and Peckham in terms of travel distance. But just because we're on the other side of, the other side of the park and stuff, it makes a difference. It does make a difference. However, all of that said and done, I just adore London. London's just got such a wondrous vibe. Though, I will say, yeah, it's just one of those fantastic things. It is just one of those fantastic things. It's because it's like weird. Like sometimes I miss the commute to Guildford for a few reasons. One of the reasons was, it was just nice me thinking time with no internet connection, or an internet connection so spotty that it was way less frustrating to just pretend there was no internet connection. Wait, that seems rather short. Oh, I did quite a short piece of floss. Well, Claire, maybe you're not batting your A game. But hey, that's that. So anyway, you'd have this small amount of thinking time, which was always useful. So my brain is trying to think where I should start. Yeah, let's start down here. And but the other thing that I really enjoyed was, because it's London and because Guildford's Guildford and there's just a shit ton of game devs and stuff based in Guildford or who work in Guildford who live in London and whatnot, the amount of times I'd run across not just my co-workers but a whole range of games people that I don't normally see. It was just really invigorating. It's just really the serendipity of running into someone on the train or in the street is one of those things I just didn't realize how much I missed it. Because I think this was the first time in 2 years that had happened to me. And it used to be such a core London experience. And now I'm like, man, I miss that. I miss that so much. It's coming back now. It's coming back. You know, that's the real joy, is that this, you know, we always talk about the new normal and life changing, and life definitely changes. You know, I love working from home, and, you know, our life now is not what our life was before. But we're getting things back open. We're getting back into the trend and the swing of things. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that just so lovely? You know, to get those moments back, to get to get London's vibe back. Man, I'm buzzing on the energy. Ooh, I have another big thing. It'll happen. So Thursday is my day where I don't work in the mornings. I start work at lunchtime, and then I work quite late. However, Thursday is also now going to become the weekly release day. So I think I told you all about the words I was writing on Friday, and the laptop and the deleted and stuff. And should cover the words. And there is a project that I'm very, very nervous to put out. But it's been in the back of my head for a very long time. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm just going to bite the bullet. I'm going to put it out there. And I'm just going to enjoy the process. And I'm going to see how people take to it. And so later today I will be publishing, by lunch it should be up, I'll be publishing the first part in a serialized novel that I wanna publish. You know, that's oof, it's a thing. Yeah. So that's gonna be a thing. There's gonna be a chapter or two a week. My target is 5,000 words a week, which is a very high target. But I don't know why I set it at 5,000, but it felt right. Oh, I know how much I want to tell, and less than 5,000 didn't feel like enough. I thought about doing a monthly release or a less frequent release, and maybe I'll have to, but you know, I was just so inspired by Bookworm and the crazy release schedule and productivity she had that I was like, you know, I'm just gonna bite the bullet. Yeah, and so maybe some of these streams will end up being writing streams. At the moment, I'm too self-conscious. Because there's some creative processes where you don't want to be, you want to just be feeling free. And I think writing's going to be one of those, so I don't think I'm going to be able to stream that. Though I do hope to be back on the comics soon, and that's very streamable to work on pages there. But and we will definitely be streaming Ludum Dare this weekend, which I will not be doing hardcore mode on because I've got my skate lesson Saturday morning, and then I've got a friend from Newcastle who I haven't seen in a very long time coming down, and we're hanging out on Sunday. So there's some time given out to that. I have Monday off because some families in town for a funeral. I'm not going to the funeral because reasons. I'll fully admit that it's in my head at the moment because, yeah, it's a thing. It's not someone I'm particularly close to. But yeah, it'd be nice to see my mum. So I have Monday off, but for those reasons, I think I don't know how much of Monday I'll actually give to Ludum Dare. Ludum Dare. I always prefer Ludum Dare. I like to think, that the game jam is daring me to succeed. Just one of those silly things. No, you know what? I'm just gonna do that, because then I can just secure the stitch. Always secure the stitch. Just using this as a, like, we're gonna have to get a new piece of floss, unfortunately, because I've gone quite short on these, but I'm using this as an opportunity to tighten in things. There we go. Yeah, no, it's been a week. It has been a week. It's been a good week, but there's been a lot happening with me and Ducky that has kept us, shall we say, busy. It's kept us very, very busy. And I'm not gonna lie, the loss of those words on Friday really hit, and so the slog of recovering those words and redoing them, because it wasn't a slog to write them the first time. It was pleasant. It was really, really pleasant. But just the knowledge I had lost those words and trying to remember what was in me and go through it all. I obviously knew the structure, and I knew what the story beats were for the chapter and stuff that I had to hit. But I was just inspired when I first wrote that. And yeah, so I was just like, man, trying to capture that lightning in the bottle. Because as I say, it's been something it's a project I've wanted to start for a while. And I've been really nervous about it, because Ducky's the writer, I'm not the writer. I mean, I've done plays and stuff, but it's not my forte. And I'm a procrastinator. I know this about myself. And I'm a bit nervous now, because I'm looking and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. That's yeah, no, I need. It's funny. It's funny. The shader videos really are by far my most popular videos I've ever done, and I've gotten so many wonderful compliments on them, and it really helped them. The shader videos came about because my friend Shahid had just left PlayStation and was getting back in game dev for the first time in a while. Because he was working in A&R and he was a businessman, and he was just having trouble with understanding computer shaders because he hadn't worked with that stuff for ages. And I'm like, well, there's such an easy concept, but there's just some bullshit that stops people getting started. And so really, I made those for him. I was like, well, if I'm going to make a video explaining this stuff, I might as well just publish it and stuff. So I made them for him, and then published them, and they were by far my most popular videos. It was sad because I tend not to use Unity these days. I haven't used Unity for quite some time. Maybe I should make some Godot videos. I don't know. Now that I'm working at Adobe and I'm not in the games industry anymore, it's a bit more tolerable to think about doing video game style content stuff on this channel again. Because for a while it was a huge escape, and to be honest, I almost buried the videos away. Oh dear. Dear. Oh, there we go. That's why the floss is uneven. But yeah, I'll do the stream for Ludum Dare this weekend, and I'll be working in Godot. But yeah, I won't be a ton of time on because I'm going to be On Sunday, the friend is down from Newcastle. On Saturday, I've got a skate lesson. And then on Monday, my mum's in town, so I'm going to be showing my mum the new flat and, just having a blast, spending time with her. So that is my plan. That is my plan. But yeah, I'm excited to release the written project today, and it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a milestone, shall we say? But yeah, it's interesting because I used to do so many more technical videos, and then they're actually one of the technical videos and the game jam stuff. It's actually some of the hardest stuff to clear with lawyers, because I always make sure that everything I do is in the clear. I don't like to seek permission on an ad hoc basis, because I don't like being at the mercy of some ad hoc decision, and I like things to be legally crisp and clear, because I think a lot of people skirt around their employment contracts. It's a thing. And so anyway, every time when I went to work for Sony, and now that I'm at Adobe, it's always a bit of a contract negotiation to sort things out. And ironically, the things that they usually get stuck on are game jams, and sometimes a little bit of the technical video stuff. Because the law is actually a lot more forgiving, a lot more in employees' favor than people realize on that stuff. Like if you come up with or learn something in the course of your job, you just level up on how to do a thing. Then, unless you're copying code, or unless there is a patentable technique, there's no protection on you basically using that knowledge to do stuff at other jobs. And that often means re-implementing algorithms you've written before in the past and stuff, or talking about algorithms you've written in the past. And lawyers do not like that, but basically it comes down to the sanctity of the mind and the ability for a craftsperson or a tradesperson to develop their trade and not be enjoined to an employer. So there's that whole thing. But yeah, those videos are definitely my most popular by far. It's funny though, because it's like I'm sometimes like, oh, should I just start a new channel for doing stuff and because a lot of people just do want more programming videos from me, or more game development stuff from me, and I'm like, well, maybe. But at the same time, I did start a new channel for the skating stuff, because at some point I was just posting so many skating videos, and then the people who only wanted skating videos basically had zero interest in anything else I was doing. And so I was like, no, I'll put that on its own channel. Because especially, I haven't been posting them in a while because I haven't been going to ESS, but especially the group ESS skates, where a lot of people they wanted the weekly ESS video, nothing else. I was like, okay, I'll move that onto its own channel. I'll have to admit though, the moment I did move it onto its own channel, updating it did become just a ton more schlep, because this is just something I do for fun. Always will be. I try to protect this from the flaws that happen when you start to try and monetize a thing that you love. You should totally monetize things you're good at. That's fine. But keep some things back for yourself. Keep some hobbies and stuff and whatnot. You can share them with people. Sharing them with people is lovely. Just don't share them with the profit monster. don't do that. That's less of a thing. But yeah, it's I do wish the UI of YouTube was a bit more personal sometimes on this stuff, because the YouTube solution is make another channel, be a micro brand. It's the thing that companies do when they want to create a new demographic appeal or test a new market or whatever. So they'll create a micro brand, move that stuff forward. And I'm just like, yeah, but I'm not a brand. I'm just a person with a bunch of different interests. And, maybe someone only cares about, I don't know, the video game stuff or the skating stuff. But maybe they'd be interested in one or the other, or maybe they'd be interested in my silly animations or things like that. Truth is, I know they aren't. Truth is, I know how the algorithm works, and YouTube is playing up to a certain part of how the human psyche works. It's fair, it's fine. It's their website, they can do that. It's not like it's cheap to run YouTube. And I refuse to do Facebook. I just refuse to do Facebook. Long and short of it. Because really that's where a lot of people do this kind of stuff. Oh, thank you. I enjoy it. As I say, those videos were originally for a friend. That's why I did them. They were fun. And at the moment, these morning streams are mostly just so I get out of bed on time and I do a little bit of work on my projects, because I stopped streaming for a while, because I've been streaming on Twitch for years, but I stopped streaming for a while because I was like, is this the thing I still want to do? And I was like looking, and I needed to focus on work for a bit. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? I like the regularity of it. I like the frequency of it. Gives me structure. And I realized I wasn't working on my hobby projects. And I was like, let me make this an hour where I can take something off the shelf. I don't care if it's cross-stitch. I don't care if it's the comic. I don't care if it's whatever it is. I just want to spend a little bit of time, guaranteed each day, well, each weekday. To be unfair though, the weekends I always find time for my projects. It's much easier to find time on the weekends for projects. But let's spend just a little time each day making one of my projects go forward. And lately, I know a lot of it's been cross-stitch lately, but that's because lately I've been on cross-stitch. Like that's been what's in my head. And it's just really nice to make progress on this. There's the intention is fully to be any project I'm currently working on. Though, as I said, with the writing, some things don't translate well to stream. Not because I think it would be boring to watch or anything. I just think because it would genuinely affect my how I was doing the thing. There's some activities naturally made for sharing. Sewing is one of them. Fishing's another. Doing a lot of forms of art, I think, is a very shareable thing. Some forms of painting and stuff, maybe not, but generally speaking, I think it's there. It's how it is. Oh, come on. You want to slide through. Oh, no. No. Yeah, there we go. Go through. But yeah. No, it's a thing, because I've gotten really good at like getting on a stage and giving speeches and stuff for people and blah blah blah. But contrary to popular belief, my default state, and the state that I probably spend the most time in, is just cuddled up on the sofa or in my room, coding, in my study coding. And my wife is very, very patient with me being a little bit of a gremlin, which is fair. Works out for me, works out for her. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, 1 in. There we go. But yeah, I need these little bursts of talk time. I definitely got them more when I had to go into the office. Though the other thing I find is, there's certain, this just scratches an itch for me. This fills a thing that I need to do. It's good to know yourself. It's good to know what your body needs and does and stuff. And yeah, that's great. It's great. I think that's one of the reasons why I've been so nervous about the whole writing thing, because I just haven't done it in so long, and it's just a very different thing. And the source material started out in a very different place. Often, I did one comic in this universe, and it was one of the harder comics to do. Well, actually, that's a lie. I did 2 comics in this universe, one of which didn't get very far. That was one that crashed and burned very fast, but the other comic went on for a bit. Actually, no, I've done 3 comics in this universe, though the one comic was tangentially in this universe. It was in this universe, but it was a different time period. How are we doing for time? 11 past. Okay, we've got 20 more minutes. The other thing is, I really like having the structure. I know, I overran a little bit yesterday. I don't mind overrunning a little bit, but I like the structure of having our little morning hour and coffee, because it gives me oh, that is good. It gives me a way to dive in, but also because I know there's a time limit, I'm focused. Ironically, I spend a lot of time engineering situations so that my brain is happy. It sounds so silly now that I say that out loud. Of course you want to engineer situations so that your brain is happy, but I mean, I'm one of nature's procrastinators, and I know how I behave with project work, and I know how my mind also goes, ooh, shiny, and wanders off in a different direction. And so I spend a lot of effort to create environments and triggers and situations that suit how my brain works. I don't trick my brain. I don't like the word trick my brain, because it implies that you're not in conscious control of yourself. You're in conscious control of yourself. It's more that I'm trying to, it's like cooking a meal. If you're cooking food for someone, you really want to know what they enjoy, and you want to make a dish that they like. And maybe one of the things you have in the fridge that you want to use up is a vegetable that they don't particularly like or whatever, but you need to use it. So what you do is you reach for your cooking techniques that disguise is the wrong word, but bring the flavor profile closer to something that your friend will find tasty. And that's That's really how I view these little psychological tricks. Is I'm just trying to make the activity or the thing tasty to my brain, so it enjoys the task, enjoys the meal. And then whenever you do that, and the more you do that, and the more your friend trusts your cooking and your decisions, and it doesn't go, oof, I don't eat things with things in, or whatever. The more you're able to stretch what you're able to cook and such. So similar with the brain. The more you do that stuff and the more you're successful, the more you're able to take your brain into a place where maybe you would have thrown a very big protest, a year before or 2 years before, and then you're like, well, you can do it. You've done it before and for 5 minutes, so doing it for 8 minutes is not a big ask. And that's just how I try to move my mind forward, because we're intelligent creatures. We shouldn't just give in to our little lizard brain. We can learn things and improve. Be a better version of yourself, all that jazz. It's funny because when you want to read books about this stuff, and when you want to get into this stuff, you have to start reading some of these self-help books. And some of these self-help books, they do make you want to gag. Especially if you're not from America, because America's got this very can-do attitude, which is very compatible with self-help culture. It's very useful for them. But tonally, I know it can put off a lot of Europeans. Because, it just... there's all these negative associations. And I get that. I do get that. But it's fine. It's fine. You can literally be a better you. I know it sounds cheesy and it sounds silly, but it's doable. It is doable. Okay. We're going to be securing the stitch in a moment. 15 minutes. Okay, yeah. Be able to finish this floss. We'll be able to finish this floss. It's a bit frustrating that I cut it so short, but in retrospect, I probably did the right thing, because we're only going to need about this much. But so the plan is I'll finish this up, take a shower, and then I will get towards finalizing publishing that first chapter of the weekly book thing. That's going to be a thing that I do now. And then I might also just dust off the sewing game and do a little bit of work on that. Don't be surprised if next week we're not doing as much cross stitch and we're maybe doing a bit more code or something, because I'm hoping that Linda just kicks off my code brain a bit more. That's my hope. Also, I'm going to be doing a bunch of audio coding at work, so I'm hoping that that gets my brain meats kicking. What's that? Oh yes, it's just someone messaging me. Fantastic. I'll have to respond to them. I don't think Kenny knows I work late on Thursdays, and I don't want him to think I'm ignoring him. I should just pop something in my calendar on Thursdays, just so people don't try to book things with me. Because, there's that wonderful feature. I don't know when it became a common thing that everyone used. I know it's been around for a while, but it doesn't feel like it became a common thing that people used until... Do you know what it was that changed this? Was the scheduling assistant. But yeah, that whole thing in Outlook of where people paid attention to what's in your calendar that you work with. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is easier to do stuff in small steps. It is much, much easier to do stuff in small steps. But yeah, scheduling assistant. I don't know when it became a thing, but it feels like it only really started affecting me like, maybe 6 years ago. Maybe 7, I don't know. Definitely since I started at Sony, was more of a thing. But the thing where people like actually pay attention to your calendar, because they can't see your calendar, but they can see when you're free and stuff. And it felt like it just radically transformed how stuff was happening, and it made me start to use my calendar to block out, like actually put in focus time into my calendar and stuff, because I was like, wow, this is important time that needs protecting or whatever. And it just changed my behavior patterns with how I do that stuff. Something my current work, Adobe does quite well, is you get a weekly email. And the weekly email basically uses internal analytics to say, this is how much time you spent in meetings. This is how much time you spent on this. Not like a time tracking thing. It's more just it's actually a mental health thing of trying to say, look, maybe you should move more of your meetings to this day or whatever, because your week is a bit too scattered. Idea is to help you time manage, to get more deep work and more time on things that you're meant to. Things you can't just quickly knock out, things that you have to give your brain a run up on, because there are a lot of activities that the brain doesn't do well doing in little bits. It needs some time to chew on a concept. It's like I was saying yesterday, like how I used to do walks to get away from my desk, to basically have thinking time. And then I got a lot more confident in my job and my abilities, and then I was like, do you know what, I'm just going to sit in the corner there. I mean, I still do walk, because walks are lovely, but sometimes it's raining, or sometimes it's cold, or sometimes you just don't feel it. And so now I feel confident to just walk away from my desk. I mean, I work from home now, and will for the foreseeable future. But I got to the point in my career where in the office I'd be like, I'm just gonna go sit on that windowsill, or I'm gonna just sit in this corner here. I'm just gonna think. I'm literally just gonna think, and maybe I've got a pen and paper with me, but maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm fidgeting with a little cube or something. It looks like I'm playing, but I'm not actually playing. I'm just thinking. And that was very useful. Because once you stop trying to look busy, you save so much energy. I think there's so much energy that people waste in offices, basically putting on airs of being busy so people leave them alone, or think that they're doing a good job or whatever. Because there's that whole performative thing of working on the weekend and then sending an email, or working late and then sending. I hate it when people do this, because I would work all kinds of hours, just because the kind of person I am. I'd show up late to the office, but then I'd work crazy hours or whatever. So I'm not saying that I'm like, oh my god, I'm just the kind of person that needs to do a 60-hour week. No, not at all. Don't get me wrong, video game crunch and all that, did my fair bit, but I more mean that I'm unlikely to have an unusual work pattern. But yeah, occasionally these people will be working because of the unusual work pattern, I over the years saw a lot of people who basically did the bare minimum to appear to be working crazy hours, and then when they were working whatever hours they were working, the last thing they would do, just to make it extend however long they think or whatever, would be they would send an email or they would do something that was time-stamped. You know, they would do a time-stamped activity just to show people that, you know. And then the flip side of that is the people who'd get into the office at, I don't know, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and they'd do the same thing. And you're just like, really? I mean, it's a little bit different if you're working in a different time zone or whatever. And obviously sometimes you just want to fire off an email because, you know, you're like, oh, I'm going to forget this in the morning. That's understandable. I get that. But then there's this pattern of behavior that some people have that are like, look, I was doing a thing. And you're like, well, good on you. Did you actually get the work done? Because really, that's all that matters. You know, because that's the other thing that sometimes happens with people, that they feel guilty because they got the work done and they did it really fast or whatever, and they're like, do I fidget? Do I make work? If my boss thinks that I did this quickly, is this gonna wreck me in the future? You know, all kinds of silly mind games. Okay, we got 5 minutes. 5 minutes, but we can do this last bit in 5 minutes. Yeah, we can do this last bit in 5 minutes. We're not going to be a hard stop. Okay, I need to secure this thread because I'm not going to put any stitches around here because this is the last thread in the area. So let's secure it as best as we can. No, don't do that. Oh, mother. I need to do, you see people buy these magnifying glass glasses and you're like, I understand why you guys do that now. Okay. And this is quite a coarse aider and quite thick stuff. Even the finest stuff that you do. There we go. Pull and tighten, and that is there. Okay. Let's hope. How many pieces we got? We got 2 pieces left. This should be enough. Yeah, this should be enough. If not, we've got that second piece there. We'll do a quick 5-minute sprint and we'll get the result we need. Come on. Don't you dare split on me. It's funny, I've got a whole bunch of things for helping threading a needle and stuff, but I just haven't been using them lately because even if I fidget for a sec, it's easier than pulling out the specialist tool. And I tend to have long enough floss that it's not super frequent. There's definitely some materials I've worked with that are just so much harder to thread, and this is a very big needle. This is a very, very big needle, so that helps. Right. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. Poof! First try. That's great. Tension, 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 tension. We're just trying to keep enough tension on the line that we, on the thread that we put in place, but not too much that we stop the natural pulling. There we go. There we go. That should be fan-bloody-tastic. Yeah. And pull through, and we're done. And now we should just get into the... Oh no. This is by some very thick ends, and so the hole in the aider is quite full, so we just need to stuff in one more thread and push through and stuff in one more thread. The back trip is actually going to be the harder thing, and then we've got to come through and we've got to do back stitch once we're all filled in, and the back stitch becomes a little bit of a trick, not so much because the back stitch is hard, but more that because you're doing the back stitch over so much thread, and you've got to figure out how to cleanly do that. And it's also when your backstitch planning and optimizes your sort of the, oh no, oh dear, there we go. It almost lasted the entire stream, but it overheated in the end. I was going to say I'm going to sort that. I honestly don't know when I'll get around to sorting that. Because part of me doesn't want to have to buy a new camera thingy-majiggy. I love that camera. It's a great action camera. But when it's running in HDMI mode, it keeps the screen on. I can't figure out how to turn the screen off when it's doing that. And it overheats. Plain and simple, it overheats, and so it turns itself off. On a colder day like today, it lasted a little bit longer, but that's all there is to it. It was a trooper today. It almost did it did do the full hour. I'm just going a little bit over as I stitch through here. Yeah, I think I've got an old phone I can switch out for that action camera. I just don't like the phone setup as much. Yeah, I mean, alternatively, I think I might be able to dig out an old webcam. The annoying thing is you don't want to be able to... there's a bunch of funny things in Windows and drivers and stuff. That means you don't want to really use two identical webcams. Confuses OBS and the Windows camera API and stuff. It's like, wait, you plug in the same camera twice? It's like, yes, they're different cameras. Yeah, Windows gets upset. Windows is like, you can't do that. It's like, why? Because you're only meant to have one camera. Okay, I'll plug in this different camera. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. You clearly need both cameras when you decide to switch between one or the other. It's like, whatever you need to tell yourself at night, Windows. Whatever you need to tell yourself at night. Speaking of Windows, I'm quite excited to see the work that Valve's doing come to light. Not under any Valve NDAs at the moment, so yay. But not all the information I know is from public sources, so I've got to just shut my yap on that one. But I am enjoying some YouTubers who are doing some very good and interesting work. It's always fun watching journalistic speculation. Sometimes they get it right, and sometimes they get it horribly wrong. I think the most amusing thing for me is when people seem to ascribe so much more meaning to something that was like, yeah, so-and-so was just lazy, so we did it, or oh, there's just some annoying trade regulations, so we had to do this, or, you know, so often the reasons for why things are the way they are just very mundane. Very, very mundane. And people who analyze things can often overanalyze why a thing is a particular way. It could just literally be down to someone felt like it. You know, it happens. It does happen. And when it happens, it's extremely amusing. It's extremely amusing. And often when you try to tell people the truth, they're like, yeah, no, that's just a cover story. And you're like, it's not a cover story. We are that dumb. We literally are that dumb. It's like Evans had a great Twitter thread the other day where he was talking about how do you arrange your source files and stuff in projects, and he showed like Little Big Planet's top level folder was called PS3 Test 1. Dreams' top folder was called D initially, and then it became, initially it was called Test Cube, and then it became, on the one rewrite it became D, and on the second rewrite it became DD. Which is, yeah, always made me chuckle, because I thought about Dexter Lab and DD. It was literally the letter D twice. It wasn't like with the E's and the vowels and stuff. It's just the letter D twice. Do-do. There's a funny meme in there. There is almost certainly a funny meme in there. Makes me think of like Schitt's Creek and Moira's Bebe. What have you done with the Bebe? Is the Bebe okay? I will not hold the Bebe. Where is the Bebe catapult? That was a good show. That was a fantastic show. It was just so wholesome and genuine. Okay, I shouldn't need to secure this too much because we've got another piece of thread that's going to come through and tighten this down, hopefully. So that should all be good, but we're on this last piece of thread. I almost estimated perfectly, it turns out, even though the individual pieces were shorter than I like to work with usually. My actual length estimate for the overall amount of thread I needed was pretty spot on. Pretty spot on. Right. Do we want to start? Yeah, let's start there. Because then we'll just secure this loose thread and I'll feel better because it won't be flapping around in the wind. Okay. Twist and tighten. Keep the pressure on, pull through. There we go. Keep the pressure on, pull through. I'm trying to keep that line clean. There we go. Now that's something I've never done before that I might try. Let me just trim the end here, which I do often, to be fair. I'm going to try to keep the tension on there. Then what I'm going to do, just to try clean up that last little bit of the frayed edge. Oh no, I cut it too short. Never mind. I was going to try fold the line back on itself and see if I could double secure it, but then, you know, because it would be under the thing, it would be more neat. But to be honest, that would probably have bulged the thread more than I want. So yes, that's a good thing that I didn't do that. Oh, what's that? Is that just a loose bit of... okay, let me just trim that while it's on my mind. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're coming to the end of the line here, the end of the thread, the end of the stream. As we wrap this up, don't worry, I'll show it to camera before we wrap, as we always do. But yeah, what's your personal project, guys? You're going to do London Day this weekend? You're gardening? I mean, gardening, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, is probably not really big on people's lists, so I hope you have frost-proofed your plants and prepared for the upcoming harshness of winter, because the winters are getting harsher. And you know, just having a basic frost preparation is going to really protect your plants. Really just help them get through that long cold winter. Maybe you into some too excited there as I come onto the final stretch, and I didn't do a vertical, I did a cross. There we go. Maybe you're excited for pumpkin spice. Maybe you're excited for pie and I haven't had a pecan pie in ages. Oh yeah, it's that season. It's the season for jumpers and jerseys and scarves and woolies. All that lovely warm stuff. So maybe we can get more warm stuff and just get toasty. You know? Get nice and toasty. There we go. Perfect. Secure. I'm so glad I had the moment of foresight to just go loose on that last stitch so I could knot it, and then we'll go there, knot, a little bit left over. I think I'm going to have to clean my study this weekend because my mum is coming and I want to show her this all, but also the cross stitch has gotten a little bit out of control. It has spilt over a little bit too much in the office. Right, there we are. Let's get the final show. So there's the whole piece. Bear in mind, the main thing we've been working on is this area here, the sort of shoreline filler, and a bit of shadow on Nessie there. And I think the colour we picked there worked out rather well. But that's there. And then the back stitch is looking healthy. Bear in mind that's where we're mostly focused. There and there. And you can see down here we had to jump around a little bit more than I like. But yeah, feel good. There you go. Little gel bars. Right, well, take care of yourselves, and I suppose I'll see you all tomorrow morning, because tomorrow morning is Friday. Yes. So, ta-ta, and take care.